Good morning, everybody. We're out here again with Annie and Abilene. It's a little misty, but hopefully we'll beat the rain today. Um, as y'all have been watching, I think we're starting to see that Abilene's coming along, maybe just a little quicker than Annie. And we had one opportunity where they kind of naturally split off a few weeks ago, where we just worked with Abilene by herself. Um, so we're going to explore today what it might look like because we showed up today and they were here in the trap and they walked in here in the round pen by themselves this morning and they're calm. Um, Abilene's quite a bit more calm than Annie. You still hear her snorting, but they're not running around and hyped up and going crazy like they usually are. And you see even Annie's making attempts here. So we've got our gate open here and Abilene's already come up and said hi, and we're going to see if she'll be interested in walking out here into this little side trap. And maybe we can do some one-on-one work with Annie and help her really start to find a way to be able to calm down. We've had lots and lots of questions about, why don't we just separate these two and give them that individual work? And, we run a lot of risks if we just force them apart. And we can do that, but gosh, it's going to end up in maybe one of us getting hurt, depending on how hard we have to try to physically get between them. And the part of their brain they're going to be in when we do that is not going to be something that's good for their development. And so, what we want to do is get them to a place where they're nice and calm and can start to connect, and see if we can ask them to let us walk between them, things we've been practicing a little bit, and ask them to separate a little bit. And so, I'm just going to ask Abilene to come up here this way. And Annie's naturally going to stay back a little bit. Hi, Abilene. There you go. Hi. And so as you see there, Annie's going to split off and run, and then Abilene's going to get too anxious, not being close to her, and she's going to take off with her. And so we'll just work on this a little bit. We've got a nice little space here. And see, even here using detachment, I can ask now Annie to go one way, and Abilene to go another way, and we get Abilene split off into the round pen. And so Annie's going to want to run back over there to see her. But just a second of them being apart was okay. Then the more we can help Annie calm down through connection here. Hi. There you go. It's a little better. Good. So Abilene's been over there in the round pen. She's coming back out. We're going to move over this way, Laura, and let's let Annie go over there to Abilene. She's going to want to. There you go, Abilene. So Abilene's really able to take this big deep breath here. And you see really the one who's bringing most of the anxiety to this is Annie, of course. Oh, Miss Abilene. Oh, sweetie. Go. All right. So there, just through some subtle detachment, me asking Annie to go one way, asking Abilene to go the other way. Not as calm as we'd like it to be, but still pretty harmless. And you see, Abilene's come back right over here to the pin, right on the side here, so that Annie can see her. And I'm going to move in a way that lets Annie get over there to her, just so they can see that this is some level of detachment. And I'm going to recognize that probably the place that Annie's going to feel the safest now is going to be wherever Abilene is outside that round pin. Hey there, Annie. And so again with Annie, we see, I don't know, 10, 15 feet here. That's kind of where she's comfortable being able to approach. And so we'll just walk around over here. Oh, as I start getting more between her and Abilene, you can see her response in her body. She wants to step in here and say, no, 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 don't do that. Hi, Abilene. And I just come out here and connect with Abilene. Hi. And I'll move out of that space. Good, Annie. There, she took some breaths and she actually decided to stay connected with me here a little bit, which is great. Ooh. So now the space that she's comfortable exploring is a little smaller now, but it's still tough. So I'm going to get her to step into that space. See if I can get her to relax here. That's not really relaxing. Yeah. As she gets closer to me and further away from Abilene, you see her give a look back there. So she released a little tension in her mouth as she turned and walked over there. Got back to kind of where she feels a little more safe. With Abilene, these are all just really important things to know so that we know what Annie feels the safest with and what's the thing that's going to drive her up the arousal continuum the most. And this is the thing with splitting them. If I just do the thing that drives her up the arousal continuum the most all the time, then she's either going to resist harder or she's going to have to check out to cope with that or develop other potentially harmful coping mechanisms. And as you see, as I start to move here between her and Abilene, she wants to block that. Abilene wants to connect as I move over here. Hi, Abilene. I know you still want to bite, but you're doing better. Yeah, you're doing better. So again, this is one of the things we've been working on with both of them in the round pen is, can I stand between y'all and can you both relax? Abilene typically hasn't had much problem relaxing, but Annie for sure has a hard time. Good. She's able to stay a little more relaxed in there, and so I'm just going to move out of that space a little. She doesn't learn to trust me if I just take away the thing that makes her safe. That's not the thing that's going to help our relationship and help her learn how to be calm and connect. And so it's this window of tolerance. I've got to move in where she's uncomfortable. And so right there is kind of a place where she said, oh, that's starting to bother me, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to just see if she can relax a little. There's some release and tension there. And so you see her lowering that head, wanting to eat grass as she moves over there. Is really more of an attempt to disconnect and move back over to Abilene. And so I'm just going to ask her, it's okay if you move back over there, but I want you to just stay connected with me as you do it. And so anytime that goes down, I'm just putting just a tiny bit of pressure on her. And like I said, I'm okay with her going back over there, but the places she's going in her mind to do that, that's the thing I'm going to worry about. Hi, there you go. Come on over here with us. Hi. Hi, I know. You're out there all alone. Big breath there from Annie a little bit. And if you look at her flank, y'all probably can't see it there, but her breathing's really shallow, to be expected. Now she's able to step in a little bit more relaxed. A lot of times what we'll see her do is she'll step in 3 or 4 steps and get closer to you than she really feels comfortable with, and still maintaining this anxiety and posture that goes with that. And if you stop and stand there asking her to relax, she can't do that until she takes about 3 or 4 steps back. And so she's pushing beyond where she's comfortable, because the parts of her brain that are engaged when she does that, it's not all parts of her brain. It's mostly the survival parts. And so we're going to have to help her change that pattern a little bit. I really, proximity's not as big a deal to me as, can she take these steps towards me in a way that's nice and calm? Can she look at me in a way that's nice and calm and relaxed? And it's going to be hard for her to take those steps, but I like steps like that a lot better, where she can kind of deal with the tension in her body and the anxiety that causes. And she's able to kind of take those steps and stay there and relax, and so I'll step away. Good. Big old forced deep breath. All right, so I'll just put a little pressure on her rear. What, Annie? Is Abilene harassing Laura? Huh? One of the things to start to notice with Annie is the tension coming out of her ears just a little bit. You watch those things, they're moving like crazy all the time. And so, one of the markers that we're going to look for with her is that she can stand there and those ears can just be relaxed even. If you just watch her ears, they're all over the place constantly. And so I might stand here for a little while just looking at her. See if those ears can really relax a little bit. See, this time she's walking over there, and I felt like she stayed more connected with me as she did that. Didn't feel the need to really disconnect. She still had a bend in her neck there and her head on me. And to me, that's a little progress for her. Is that even in the way she runs back to her safe spot, she can at least stay connected with me. She doesn't have to completely disconnect. So one of the things I'm really going to be trying to do with Annie is to get her walking, not just turning and looking at me and stopping. But if I can get her walking with me, and whenever she takes a step towards me, I step away. If I can get her to continue following me with that, then she gets to explore this uncomfortable space while her body's moving in a nice, hopefully rhythmic, regulating way. And that's probably not going to happen without us working on a lot more detachment, because the probability of her really walking far enough that she actually puts me between her and Abilene is very low. So even as I come over here and Abilene's over here and walk between, you see, anxiety in Annie goes up. So I'm going to stop here. So anytime she tries to disconnect to move over there, I'm just going to put a little pressure on her. And it's not much, it's just a lean. And you can move over there. But you got to stay connected with me a little bit if you're going to move over there. Mm-hmm. Wow, that was nice. She actually moved away. And so I'm going to move out of that space for her. And so I can help her if I want. Hi. Well, you want to come all the way up here? I didn't think so. I can help her figure out how to stay connected with me a little more as she goes back to that place. And that's just in some detachment and asking her to detach over there and stay connected. And so we might start working on a little of that. I'm just going to put a little pressure here on her side. Yeah, that's okay. There you go. You can go over there. That was pretty good. And so I'll ask her to detach. And this is stuff we've worked on before. And again, she's going to want to try to turn back into that space. I'll just ask her to go around. You can get back over there to it. And at first, she's going to be anxious and want to run. But she's going to start to figure out that she can trust that I'm going to open that space back up for her to move into it. You gonna go the other way? Let's see if we go that way. Ooh. Oh. Quite the bounce there. Yeah. You can keep going. It's all right. Go. There's a little progress. Yeah, okay. You did good walking that time, staying connected. Still awfully excited. All right, let's go the other way. What do you think? No. You can do it. There you go. Abilene's moved over by the camera. She's not the safest anymore. So Annie's starting to calm down a little bit. Being able to find a nice relaxed walk and detachment's going to help her quite a bit with that. She's going to want to stop here. We're just going to put a little pressure on her to keep moving. Well, I don't want you to come to me. I just want you to relax a little over there. Yeah. You get back into your space over there with Abilene, you got to be able to relax just a little, release some of that tension. Yeah, in your mouth a little. That's a little better. So our ears flatten out just a little deeper breath. Her head came down a little. Oh, okay, go back over there with Abilene. Yeah, you can do it. Go ahead. Go back over there even more. There you go. How's that feel? But see, when you go over there, you're supposed to be able to relax a little. Yeah. There you go. That's pretty good. That's pretty good relaxation. There's a good one too. Those are some big steps for Annie. Still got real shallow breathing, but her head's coming down. She's softening as she's taking these steps toward us. Her body's starting to soften. You can still see she's got really irregular breathing. Abilene's going to get your coffee. She gets really concerned when Abilene goes over there to play with Laura a little bit. Because in that, Abilene connects with Laura a little bit, and Annie feels a little more alone. Wow. She's able to let me walk across that midline without feeling the need to step to kind of control where I'm going. You see her body's really starting to feel a little more relaxed. Her ears are getting a little flatter. bite it, Annie. Yeah, get it. What do you think? So we'll just pass between her and Abilene. She's able to stay connected and fairly relaxed in that. I really love those ears starting to flatten out a little bit. Starting to relax just a little. And to not feel they need to be on me constantly. That means I'm not as much of a threat as I used to be. And her steps in are starting to come with a lot different energy than they did before. Yeah, good. I just started thinking about asking her to detach over there to Abilene, and she picked up on that really easily. Now, she doesn't absolutely love doing that, but there she goes. Good. Okay, no. Walk around. There you go. There you go. Go ahead, keep going. Good. You gonna go that way now? Okay. Go ahead and go that way. Go on. Right about there. Still kind of in your corner by the gate. Still close to Abilene over here, but not by Laura in the camera. Right. Yeah. Okay. I love it. She would make a decision previously to start coming towards me even if my feet didn't move, and she'd take 4 or 5 or 6 of those steps towards me. And now when my feet don't move, she kind of, it's like, hey, what are you doing? Your feet are supposed to move. Because I don't want her just coming to me, not being connected. You want to walk back over here to this other spot? Hmm? Abilene, don't eat the camera. You're just trying to help, aren't you, Abilene? I know. Hey, look at those thoughtful steps. That's what I want to see from her. Really nice, thoughtful movement. And so all of these things are signs that she's starting to get a little more regulation and get her brain integrated just a little more. As I started to step into that space that would put me between her and Abilene, she got a little more anxious about it. As I stepped back, she was able to release some of that tension. Take a big deep breath. Able to stand there and relax, release some tension in her body, and give her space. You got me backed up against the fence. Which way do you want me to go? This way? Okay. And you want me to open this gate so you can get back in here? Yeah. You're doing okay out there. You're okay. Yeah, you're doing all right. What do you think? One of the things that's going to help build confidence, I think, for Annie in being able to move and come with me is that when I can work into that space between her and Abilene, and when she can connect and step towards me and encourage me to walk out of that space in a way that's connected, she's going to feel better about that because she's going to start to trust that when I get in there, she can ask me by coming up and following me to change that. And so I just have to just keep walking out of it. And so if I'm not going to force my way in there, and I'm not going to stay there and keep her from being there, she stops having a threat to worry about. And it's not just a one-way street. I can ask her to leave that space with detachment. And again, as long as I'm not keeping her from getting back over there, that starts to become something that's not such a threat for her. And so we're learning on this very basic level to make some requests of each other. And when she gets over there, she stayed nice and calm and connected for her. Then I release pressure again. She's going to take all these unthoughtful steps in towards me. And so I just stop. Annie's anxiety gets the best of her a lot of times. That's why she attacks Abilene a lot. So I'm really, in the work I do with her, I'm going to focus on how she makes these decisions and what part of her brain is regulated or dysregulated. And I haven't moved one single bit since she's really started this approach. Now she does something that's a little more healthy for her in creating space over there to where she can feel a little more safe. Tried the approach again that wasn't so thoughtful, didn't feel connected. I didn't move. And so she creates some space. And those steps were a little more thoughtful, so I'll release just a little bit on that. That's what we're looking for, Annie. Good job. Good. I know you're just coming over here to try to block me from going through here, aren't you? But that's okay. You're doing all right there. Yeah. So here I'm just asking her to let me detach. Walk through here. Hi, Abilene. And so now I'll put a little pressure on her rear. You can see she's really sensitive. And Annie would be, in the old days, or even some horse training methods now, she would be a prime candidate for desensitization. Any big movements, anything you do kind of scares her. And so, one of the things that we can be tempted to do is sit here all day and do this until she checks out from it. But that's not what we want. I love how sensitive she is. I want her to start being able to determine if this arm going up is a threat or not. And if it is a threat, I want her to be able to move away from it. I don't want her to just stand there and check out from it. And so it's not that I'm not going to move my arms. I'm not going to do so in a way that's focused on desensitizing. I'm going to do so in a way that's focused on letting her have a thought about what that arm means. And if it is scary. And so I might put my arm up and you see, she's like, oh, and so she gets to run away from it. That's okay. And I'm just going to keep that arm up. And I'm not increasing the pressure on her with it. I'm just keeping it up until I can see her actually think about it and relax in her body a little bit while she's thinking about it. Because that's the real response. I want her to understand that this arm's not a threat. Right now, it's a threat. I know, it's big and muscular and scary. Look how muscular it is. I'd be afraid of it too. Especially with your petite stature. Yeah. There's really not much to you. You're just kind of a scrawny little thing, aren't you? And so if you watch her, she goes through all these same processes of feeling tension in her body and how she has figured out how to release some of that tension in the places she feels it. And so I want to see her go through that process. That was a little more thoughtful engagement with me with that arm being up, and so I'm going to take it down and release the pressure. Whew. Okay. So we've about time to wrap up. Annie's done some good work. We've still got a ton of work to do with her, but you can see this is going to be a process for her. First, out there where she feels safe, starting to relax and engage to take some of these steps toward us. And starting to rewire, she's got a pretty deep pattern about how she responds to anything that's a threat. And so we're going to have to start helping her rewire that pattern of responding to threat. And we've already started a little bit in here today, and hopefully with all the work we've been doing with them together. And when I notice the threat, can I actually deal with the tension in my body first, try to connect with that threat to see if it's really a threat. And she's learning, really starting to build a pathway, a deeper pathway for this relaxation response. But that's going to take time. Lots of time. And the more we get out here and can work with her, the quicker we're going to build that pathway. I know a lot of this process seems really, really slow. And, I think there's some comments about, 2021, we should maybe be ready for a saddle or halter or whatnot, right? We're working one hour per week. Ideally, with horses that are at this level, you might want to do an hour a day, and it will go way faster, right? But we don't live in an ideal world, and so even if you have 1 hour a week, you can still make some pretty good progress, but you just have to recognize it's going to take longer. And the more you can be predictable, the more you can get in here every day, and in everything you do, build these pathways we're working on with these horses, the faster it's going to go. All right. We'll say goodbye. We'll see y'all next week. Annie, good job.